Hello, my name is Sheil, and this study was conducted during my PhD at Maynooth University, Ireland, in collaboration with Radboud University in Nijmegen in the Netherlands. In this study, we characterized the subscription and cancellation flows of popular news websites from 4 different countries: the USA, the UK, Germany, and the Netherlands, and discuss them in the context of recent regulatory changes. The term Roach Motel was coined by Harry Brignall. It is also referred to as hard to cancel by Mather et al. And under Gray et al.'s obstruction category of dark patterns, which is defined as making a process more difficult than it needs to be with the intent of dissuading certain actions. In a study conducted by Chevalula et al., 1,002 posts from the subreddit Asshole Design were analyzed, and the obstruction category was found to be the second most frequent dark pattern discussed. Yet despite this, the Roach Motel dark pattern appears to be less recognized from a user's perspective, which is noted in a study conducted by Boot et al. In 2023, documents leaked to the Business Insider suggested that Amazon intentionally designed the process of canceling Prime subscriptions to be arduous and prolonged. Many frustrated users take to social media to complain about hard-to-cancel subscriptions. Here, Trevor Noah poetically describes the arduous trial of having to cancel a service. Commonly, you find that despite subscribing to a service online, when it comes to canceling, you have to ring the company. This is not ideal for many who are hearing impaired or who experience anxiety when talking on the phone. In 2023, the Federal Trade Commission announced their proposed amendment to the FTC Act, which introduces 3 main requirements businesses must adhere to. These are to clearly disclose all details about the subscription, including price, renewal dates, and how to cancel. Obtain customers' express consent before charging them for products or services, and provide an easy and simple method to cancel subscriptions. To the best of our knowledge, Texas still lacks specific subscription regulations. In light of this, we decided to have 2 American personas, one from Texas and the other from California. We wanted to compare the potential effects of local as opposed to federal regulation or lack thereof. In the UK, the Digital Markets Competition and Consumers Bill is currently at the report stage in the House of Lords. The bill addresses auto-renewal and cancelling information and highlights that consumers should be able to cancel online at any time. As of February of this year, the EU Data Act and Digital Service Act aims to curb dark patterns, such as making the procedure of cancelling a service significantly more cumbersome than signing up for it. The new Fair Consumer Contracts Act in Germany came into effect in 2022 and requires online cancellation options and clear termination buttons for subscriptions. The Federation of German Consumer Organizations released a website where consumers can report any website which does not have a compliant cancel button. In the Netherlands, the Dutch Authority for Consumers and Markets offer guidelines to protect consumers concerning subscriptions. They state that businesses must provide clear information on how consumers can terminate a contract. And if a contract is initiated through a website, it should also be possible to terminate it through the same online platform. They also highlight that termination via the website should not involve excessive obstacles such as extensive questionnaires. So this is how we conducted our study. We compiled a list of the top 10 news sites from each of the countries mentioned previously. We created a persona for each country using a fake name generator website. For America, we had two personas, a Texan and a Californian. Each persona subscribes to their own country's top 10 news sites using a virtual credit card. Our European consumers also subscribe to the American list of news sites, as we wanted to note any differences in subscribing due to stricter European regulations. This means that the total amount of subscriptions amounts to 80, 20 for each European persona and 10 for each American persona. The subscription and cancellation process is screen recorded, and we document a list of parameters in a web spreadsheet. We then analyze our data. We wanted to record as much detail as possible about each subscription and cancellation. Our parameters are based on regulatory requirements in the studied countries, such as whether a two-step termination button exists, as the Germans highlight, or whether users are informed about auto-renewals. The parameters also reflect the effort it takes to cancel. For example, clicking to cancel adds extra steps, and answering mandatory surveys. In this study, we signed up to 67 out of 80 subscriptions on 34 distinct news sites by 5 personas from 4 different countries. 13 of the 80 subscriptions could not be completed due to issues such as requirements to provide real addresses and payment issues. The LA Times was the only website to which all 5 personas failed to subscribe, potentially due to our use of a VPN connection. Our personas were able to cancel 63 of the 67 subscriptions online. We had to call to cancel 4 subscriptions. As our Texan and British persona, I had to call to cancel the Wall Street Journal, but was able to cancel the same news site online for California. For the Daily Mail in the UK, I also had to call to cancel, and likewise for NRC in the Netherlands. Various dark patterns were found in the process, and the total cost was $444.90. The study timeline was from January of 2023 to February of 2023. We collected a lot of data for each country. The paper goes through these results in detail. The next few graphs summarize our observations, comparing Europe and the USA in subscribing and cancelling. So let's focus on one of the parameters. For example, renewal information. All of the European news sites and 88.8% of American news sites provided renewal information. Mandatory exit surveys were requested by 82.7% of American news sites and 72.5% of European news sites. This shows data for each country in cancelling subscriptions. Focusing on special offers or discounts to stay, 50% of UK and German news sites present these on cancelling. The highest is Texas with 77.7%, followed by California at 66.6%, and then the Netherlands at 55.6%. As I mentioned before, the clicks to cancel parameter is counting how many times you press a button to move on. Although it's important to note that clicks may not accurately gauge the difficulty in cancelling. This graph compares individual countries. For all countries, you have to click more times to cancel than to subscribe. The US requires more clicks than Europe to cancel, and Germany has the smallest difference between clicking to subscribe and cancel. The most notable dark patterns found in the cancellation process were hard to cancel, forced action, visual interference, and confirmed shaming. The first screenshot here shows an example of visual interference, where we get a classic color switching button. The first cancel subscription button is yellow, and now it is white. Another example of visual interference is from the Pioneer from Germany, where we have a barely visible cancel link. Lastly, an example of forced action. The Daily Wire presents us with a box where we have to type in the word confirm to cancel our subscription. This for us was strange, as we had not come across this before. Examples of confirm shaming come from WellPlus from Germany, where we are presented with this message after cancelling. Another example of forced action comes from the Financial Times, where when subscribing, we have to include the information here to complete our sign up, which is a lot of data. An example of hard to cancel comes from Bloomberg, where you have to cancel via a chatbot. And here is the full chatbot flow. Here I'm going to briefly show you a video of my journey subscribing to 3 different news sites. The first is a German news site. The Fair Consumer Contracts Act states it should take no more than 1 extra step after pressing the Cancel Now button to successfully cancel your subscription. Only 3 of the 8 German websites we subscribe to satisfy this requirement, and this is an example of one. After this, we have the UK's Financial Times, where you can see some bright patterns mixed in with dark patterns. Some of the buttons to cancel are equally coloured, but not consistently. You also have the option of skipping the survey. After pressing cancel, you are presented with this offer, which displays 2 options, your current offer and an upgrade. But underneath is the confirm cancellation button, which is black. The last in this sequence is the American Daily Wire. Here, if you can catch it, is a very tiny underlined cancel link button. There is quite a detailed survey with mandatory questions. And to make sure you want to cancel, you have to type confirm into this little box here. Our study sheds light on the challenges users face when attempting to cancel online subscriptions across various news websites. While the majority of subscriptions can be cancelled online, there are still obstacles, such as the need for phone calls in some cases. Our findings indicate that locations with stricter regulations, such as Germany and California, tend to have smoother cancellation processes. However, dark patterns persist, including misleading button placements and compulsory exit surveys. American news sites in particular present more barriers compared to their European counterparts. As regulatory efforts continue, businesses must prioritize transparency and trust building with users rather than focusing solely on short-term gains. Many thanks for listening and watching. You can find me on LinkedIn via this QR code, or you can email me at this address. Also on the slide is the link for all of our cancellation videos, and here you will find our references. Thank you.